Welcome to our live training session number 25, part 4. In this video, we're going to take a look at doing our full throttle tuning, as well as taking a look at setting up our open and closed loop boost control. We're going to have a lot to cover, so let's jump into our live training session so we can get started. Welcome back to our live training session here with our turbocharged Mazda Miata. In the last video, we covered how to do our part throttle optimization process. We took a look at our fuel, open and closed loop tuning methods, and we look at our spark timing optimization for our part throttle. So we went through all that. Now we're ready to jump into our wide open throttle tuning. So this is going to be the exciting part of our tuning process. It's also really easy. Now a couple things before we jump in and start to actually make our pulls. Jumping into fuel settings here, going into our VE table. We're going to be focusing in on our 100 kPa and higher in our fuel table. So this is going to be the area where we're going to be focusing in our efforts for full throttle tuning. Now we're not going to be able to go and hit 700 RPM to about 1400 RPM. We're not going to be able to get into this range on the dyno here. So we're going to be focusing from 2000 RPM and above. And we're going to be taking pulls from 2000 RPM to 6500 on the dyno here. If we're making power past 65, we'll rev a little bit higher, but for right now we'll be conservative. Now also, jumping into our ignition settings, into our ignition table, we have zeroed out the ignition timing here above 100 kPa. And we've done that for a very specific reason, so we're able to dial our fuel in first, then go after our spark timing. So it's going to be always the order of operations. We want to make sure we're conservative on our spark timing, so we're not going to be damaging the engine in case the engine runs maybe a little bit lean as we're doing a pull. We do have our air fuel protection in place here. Let's close this, jump into fuel settings. We did turn on our air fuel safety system. So this is going to be configured above 100 kPa, 3000 RPM. So looking at this, we're going to essentially be having a 1.5 air fuel deviation from our target air fuel, and we get to 175 kPa, a 1 point deviation. So for example, if our target air fuel is 11.5 at the higher boost sections, let's actually pull up our air fuel table here so we're able to kind of talk about this and look at this and make a little bit more sense. So looking here, 175 kPa and above, 11.5 air fuel is our target. That's what we want to match when we do our tuning. So as we go through and we add fuel and we're dialing everything in, we want to be right at 11.5 air fuel. So if we dialed everything in properly, all we need to do if we want to change our air fuel, jump into our target air fuel table and actually change it in here. That's going to get us to the air fuel we want and not have to touch our main VE table. That's going to be something you always want to keep in mind. But the way this air fuel safety system is going to work, it's going to be seeing if it goes a point leaner than what we're commanding here. If it's 11.5, 1 point leaner, 12.5. Any leaner than 12.5, if it exceeds 1 second of operating time above 100 kPa or 3000 RPM, it'll go in and start to kill the spark for a half second, and then it'll kill the fuel until we drop below our thresholds here. So below 50% throttle, below 95 kPa in the manifold pressure, and below 2900. So it's going to be setting our thresholds up, and this should be pretty good to start off with. So what we're going to do here, close this real quick, jumping back into our fuel table, just to make sure we're not going to run lean in boost. I'm going to highlight my range of operation right here. Let's go from 200 to about 120. I'm just going to multiply, and I'm going to add 5% more to what I have already. Now, we interpolated some of the values here as we were getting into boost, just